Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
By the way, I hope you understand that Aaron Rodgers merchandise is booming ahead of his Jets debut.
Cool.
See, I knew you'd get on board. You've always been a follower, not a leader. You don't like the guy.
I hope he throws 5 picks Monday night.
Wow. I was talking to him and he was hoping everything went well with the baby. But, it's like... I guess you guys have different perspectives. Yeah, no, you have no idea how to respond.
No, I really don't.
Today's show brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. I was talking about playing with the lead. Well, Kyle Schwarber made sure last night the Phillies did exactly that.
Fly ball center field. That's well hit. Going back is Grisham. Back to the wall. He's just going to be a spectator. It's off the back wall. The 41st home run of the year for Kyle Schwarber.
And for Kyle Schwarber, it's a new franchise record with his 10th leadoff home run this season. What a bomb.
I remember what I told you 2 years ago? I said one of the worst things the Red Sox could do would be to let that guy go.
Yep. There it is.
That guy wins everywhere he goes. And he's a clubhouse leader. He may not hit for the greatest average, but he makes things happen. All right. So let's start out with Chief and Greg together. Guys, first of all, how are you today?
Great.
Well, I'm pretty good. I'm not as bitter as Matt seems to be sometimes. He's too young, Matt. You gotta mellow out,
That's
buddy.
right.
All right. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to change if you don't like him. All right, he'll be the same.
I'll try to heed that advice, Chief.
Yeah, I tell that to Kevin all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if I were Kevin, I'd be bitter too. All right, so
S-U-I-T. That spells Suda.
Yeah, Matt gets upset about a few things, guys. He does. It's good for the show, but I don't know if it's So let's talk about the respective games. All right. So it's one of those. Dave, is one of those bounce back weeks. What was the difference? Obviously, the team you're playing. What was the difference between week 1, week 2?
The offense against Mifflin County got inside the 20-yard line 4 times. In fact, they had first and goal from the 3, and they came away with no points. And they didn't have the ball that long. The defense was on the field a lot. Mifflin County had a young man, his senior runner, his last name is Schaefer, had 280 yards and 38 carries, and they did a lot of running, and so I think the defense got tired. And I think that the frustration that happens when you can't push the ball in when you're inside the 20 gets to some young kids. And everybody thought, well, they really got hammered. Well, they really didn't get hammered. They didn't score. It's like they played between the 20s, and that sometimes is worse than if you get shut out. So
yeah, that's frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating, because the field shortens up inside the 20, obviously. Was that tough for them to deal with? I mean, is this more of a team that needs more of an open field to work?
Well, they have the one touchdown that they had was a fade pattern, and the ball, Brody threw the ball couldn't have thrown it any better in the corner of the end zone. There was nobody else going to catch the ball except for our 6'4" wide receiver. And no, I think that Brody given the chance to throw the ball, he could have picked them apart. But unfortunately, Mifflin County had a very, very good line, and they brought a lot. They brought their ends all the time, and sometimes we didn't pick them up. But you're right; it does shorten the field. Luke Snyder did not have a lot of holes to run through, and when you get down inside the 10-yard line, your defense is going to call for goal line defense, and all the gaps are filled again. So it's got a good point there. But I do think the Braves can score just because of Brody's arm once they get inside the 20.
Right. And now flip it to you, Greg. Week 1 to week 2, your thoughts?
Mostly the offensive line just couldn't control Jersey Shore's front 7. But I should clarify that. Actually, it was front 11 because Jersey Shore had all 11 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage just daring Lewisburg to throw the ball. They were bringing 7, 8 guys on every snap of Lewisburg's ball. So there was nowhere for the kids to run. I think they had 24 carries for 13 yards. So, like I said, they just can't block. Until Lewisburg establishes a passing game, that's where they're going to face week in and week out.
Oh, boy, and that becomes very hard to do. I mean, because you've got to be able to open it up somehow off the edges to make something happen. Are they capable of doing that, or is that going to be something that's going to be a work in progress all season?
It's going to be a work in progress most of the season. They have some running backs that can break tackles. However, against Jersey Shore, they didn't. I mean, some of the times they were hit as soon as the ball was handed off, they were being hit in the backfield. So if they can break one run or 2 runs, that would go a long ways. Now, they did throw for 135 yards against Jersey Shore. One was a screen pass that went for 52 yards. And another one was the quarterback kind of just dropped back and threw it, and the wide receiver made great adjustments 2 times on balls and caught him for about 30 yards each time. So they showed some capabilities of at least throwing the football that night. So that's a good thing to have going into the Montoursville game.
Now, look, field position is going to mean a lot. So I know it's something that Dave alluded to about, that Shikellamy was on the field a long time. Same story for Lewisburg. Were they on the field a long time?
A long time. The coach tried to shorten the game by snapping the ball every time with less than 5 seconds on the clock because of Jersey Shore's hurry-up offense.
Sure.
And that worked to a degree, shortening the game. But Jersey Shore knew, hey, it's down to 2 seconds. They got to snap the ball. So those linebackers were getting a running start into the Lewisburg backfield. So it kind of worked against them that way. But I don't think Jersey Shore started a drive any time not inside their 40-yard line. So it was a very short field. They didn't have any long plays. When I say long plays, they might have had 2 or 3 runs more than 10 yards, but it was just 6, 7 yards, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards at a time, a couple slant ends that went for maybe 10, 12 yards. But again, Lewisburg's defense did not play that badly. They just were put in a position where they were constantly defending their goal line.
Yeah. Same story for you, Dave. You talked about the defense getting tired, but how much did they contribute to the fact that they got tired because they couldn't get themselves off the field?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's correct. I'd like to say that it was poor tackling, but Steve, I said it during the game. I haven't seen a runner like Schaefer in a long, long time. He's one of those kids that, to quote Bill Cosby, he can stop on a dime and give you 7 cents change. He's just able to go left, right, front, stop, and nobody ever got a clean hit on him, and every time the Braves would have him, and let's say they'd have him 3rd and 8, they'd give it to him and he'd pick up the yardage. The defense had some trouble making the big play to stop the drive, and that was a problem. But special teams I thought played well. and the kid that I saw him today, Asher Moyer. I said, I bet Kevin that you will never call a fair catch on a punt, and I would buy Kevin a steak dinner. All right, and I think I'm gonna win that bet because that kid is he's, if we want to say, fearless, but once he gets it, he always picks up 25, 30 yards just on his athletic ability. So I thought I was very pleased with the special teams.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay, go ahead, Greg.
By the way, Selinsgrove never played Shikellamy on Thanksgiving Day.
They did not. Okay.
That was Northumberland and Sunbury played on Thanksgiving Day before the Shikellamy merger, before those two schools became Shikellamy. Yep. Okay. And I have one more question for you. Do you remember the Phillipsburg-Easton reenactment game that the guys 15 or 20 years after their game got together, practiced, and they played again? It was an ESPN special. It was. It wasn't pretty, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah. What the heck? Penn State scrimmage former players in the summer, and I went to it. And, so the current Penn State team, former Penn State players, on a long list of luminaries who have played here. And Mike Rhodes looked at me and says, "Gee, Steve, this couple of them didn't come in shape."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, guess what? Mike wasn't wrong. Okay. So preview this week. Let's start with Lewisburg-Montoursville.
They have one common opponent, Wellsboro. And they both handle Wellsboro, and Lewisburg handled Wellsboro very easily in a scrimmage. Montoursville beat them 42-0. I think who scores first goes a long way to who wins this game. Montoursville seems to have the same issues Lewisburg has. They haven't thrown the ball well in their first two games. Lewisburg hasn't thrown the ball well in their first two games. I'm looking for a low-scoring game.
I agree with Greg that I think the team that scores first is going to have an advantage. The common opponent that Central Mountain and Shikellamy have is Mifflin County, and Mifflin County basically kept Central Mountain out of the end zone. I think this is a winnable game for Shikellamy if they have everybody healthy. And they talk about a summer flu bug going around. I think Shikellamy been having some trouble with that. But anyway, I think it's very winnable. But we're going to have a home football game in Shamokin Stadium, so we'll see how that affects kids. When you got to travel 20 miles for your home game, we'll see if they're affected by it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm sure that track is worth it. All right, so okay, Zach Showers, Selinsgrove, sir, what do you got?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself, Steve?
Doing great. Great to have you with us. Did we get you away from recess? What did we do here?
Hey, I don't have any afternoon recess duties, so I'm not going to complain.
Good. What a relief. So what do you think this team is after 2 weeks? What do you like?
Hey, I like a lot about this team, Steve. They have shown up and really been fairly businesslike the first 2 weeks. They've dealt with some adversity in both games. Obviously, week one against Delaware Valley, they faced a team and needed a goal line stand at the end. Last week, they were up early and then kind of took the pedal off the gas a little bit in the second quarter, and were still able to, kind of regroup at halftime and turn it on and then pretty much dominate the second half. So I really like a lot about the team in that sense. They have also been able to really protect the quarterback well and also open up holes in the running game. Tucker Teets last week went for, I think, 228 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he only did it on 20 carries. He had some games like that last year, but it was, pushing 30 carries when he did that. So this is a team that very businesslike, moving along, and I think they're only going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah. It seems like they've been able to control the tone and tempo of each game they've played in so far. Are you having difficult choosing between the offense and defense as to which one's better for you at this point?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think what's interesting is you said offense and defense. one of the big positives for Selinsgrove the first 2 weeks has been special teams, which often at the high school level can be a problem. Selinsgrove has an all-state kicker, Carter Young. He has, I think, 5 of his first 8 kickoffs have been touchbacks. So in both games, there haven't been a lot of returns. Selinsgrove offense has been moving the ball, especially into the other team's territory. So being able to flip the field, that starting field position has been huge. But, yeah, I think this is one of the biggest strengths of this team so far has been the offensive line, and that hasn't been the strength the past couple of years.
Right.
So being able to control in the trenches and even the defensive line, I was a little concerned about depth going into the season on this team, and they're playing 7, 8, 9 guys there that they're able to rotate in and keep guys fresh throughout the game.
Is this a case where they've done a good job of developing it, or just through age it's fallen into place?
I think it's a little of both. I think you have some kids that have definitely worked. I know talking to Coach Derek Hicks the past couple of weeks, he's really been commended the interior linemen. The left guard, center, and right guard are both 1,400-pound squat, bench, and deadlift guys. So there's some guys that have really, really worked their butts off in the weight room over the past couple of years to really not only have good technique, but to really develop that strength. So I think it's been a little bit of both, but there's also some younger guys that, might not always be as refined, but are playing really, really hard, and they're just getting better every week.
Okay, so what about this week? How do you view this week's game?
So I'm personally, and I think the coaches are as optimistic of Selinsgrove's chances against Jersey Shore as they have been a while. This is still a Jersey Shore team that's blown out their first 2 opponents. They have yet to give up a point. They lost an awful lot from last year's team, and they have some guys that are back that are really good players. I think this is a game that Selinsgrove can win. I really do. It also helps that they're not playing at Jersey Shore. I think that's been a bit of a mental block for Selinsgrove the past couple of years. Playing on grass and just a much different atmosphere. Selinsgrove is really going to need to stop the running game. Jersey Shore has 2 running backs, Elijah Jordan and Tate Sechrist, who both saw a lot of time the past 2 years. They're both tough runners. They run downhill. They break a lot of tackles. They're breaking in a first-year starter who's basically just kind of managed things. I don't think he's quite as athletic as some of the previous Jersey Shore quarterbacks, but he's been pretty good. So I think this is a game where Selinsgrove is going to need to hit some plays in the passing game. Jersey Shore is a team that runs out a 5-2 defense, and there's some plays to be made. It's going to be about, Mark Pastore really identifying those one-on-one matchups and hitting them when they come. But I think where Selinsgrove has improved compared to last year is, like I said earlier, it's in those lines. And Penn State, Selinsgrove has not been able to control the line of scrimmage the past couple of years against them. And I really think this is an opportunity for them to do that tomorrow night.
Always a pleasure, Josh. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve.
All right. You'll hear these games on Eagle 107, Shikellamy on WKOK, and Lewisburg on 100.9 The Valley. Matt heard none of that. He's preparing for his game, and he's made it obvious the show is currently an afterthought.
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
You thinking about Aaron Judge's at-bats?
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
Just asking. Well, that's not being said much. I mean, he's now reduced to warning track power. Why don't you get your kids to say, warning track? What do you think? Sorry, but every time he comes to the plate now, most people are sitting. The ball doesn't go anywhere. And you can't keep playing Detroit.
That's true. Yes.
Who are you playing this weekend?
I don't even know at this point.
You don't even know? You don't care? What kind of fan are you?
Well, when you're as embarrassing as you are, I'm going to check out a little bit.
You've checked out?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm still paying attention. I like seeing some of the young guys and the way they perform, and especially Jason Dominguez, but that's about it.
You got the Tigers again tonight.
Yeah. All the Brewers this weekend, that's right, because Saturday is All-Timers Day. Yeah, it's Brewers this weekend.
So Stanton's playing. All right, so Old Timers Day? No, you don't get it. All right, you didn't think it was funny.
Wouldn't matter. I bet you Bernie Williams or somebody would have home run more than him.
Oh, you're just so wound up.
And play the national anthem brilliantly, too, on the guitar.
Okay, just so you realize, okay? All right, remember, Brady is not playing Sunday.
I will say, I'll save my official pick for tomorrow with the King, but I am feeling better about the Eagles on Sunday.
They'll beat that team by 17 points. What is that? The Patriots are not that good.
Well,
okay?
what's helpful for me is they're probably not going to have their right tackle now, and
they've got Mac Jones. You've got Jalen Hurts.
Well,
You're
that's
done.
true. Yeah,
you're done. Okay, stop worrying and pacing. My goodness. I mean, I called over to CVS there because of you. They're out of Advil. All right, we'll come back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Want to work for a stable yet growing company? Got it. Want to work for a family-owned business with over 100 years experience in taking care of customers and employees? Got it. Want to work for a leader in selling more cars and satisfying more customers? Got it. Who has all that? SMC Sunbury Motor Company is looking for technicians across all their departments. Whether you're an entry-level technician, an experienced technician, or someone looking for a career change, Sunbury Motors would love to hear from you. They're looking for technicians for their quick lane, car and light truck service, heavy truck service, body shop, and frame and alignment division. You can apply online at sunburymotors.com, in person at our North 4th Street location, or call Todd at 570-286-7746. Your new career of working on Fords, Kias, Hyundais, Western Star trucks, plus anything that fits in the door, and some things that don't. Join Sunbury Motors. Your new career is waiting for you.
To prove that mobile from Penn Teledata Business Voice brings the office everywhere you are, I'm going to connect with my team while falling 15,000 feet!
We're here, boss. We hear you loud and clear.
Thanks, Janice. You know, companies today need affordable, cloud-based, unlimited calling, conferencing, mobile synergy, and easy upgrades to grow with your business to keep you, well, truly mobile.
Penn Teledata Business Voice. Anywhere you are.
Janice?
Yeah, boss.
Yeah, I'm going to need a little help.
This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
I don't know that. Tomorrow we have Merrill on the show. You'll be locked into that one.
Oh, of course.
Bill Hillgrove will be on. You'll barely notice what he says.
No, I've met Bill before, actually. Alex and I met him our junior year at Clarion.
Nothing to do with that. He'll be talking about the Steelers. You have no interest. You're tuned out. Okay? I mean...
I love Bill. I'll be locked into that.
I'm telling you, you may love Bill, but you're like the topic you don't like. And he'll be talking about the Steelers. There's more than one team in the league. I don't know if you've noticed that at all.
Oh, my almighty!
No? Just ask. I mean, you know there are other teams, right? I mean, I figure if anybody would know there are other teams, it would be you. Most of them over the years have beaten you. What?
E-I-G-O-E-S-S.
Well, let's discuss enunciation here for a moment. But, okay, the spelling part was pretty good. Right, but there's a G in there, right?
Correct. Yeah, we got to work on that.
He's good at squirting his brother with water. That's,
Oh yeah, he has no problem with that.
We have all the necessary skills to do certain things. Can they both do that together?
Actually, yes. They Lisa sent me a audio message with them both doing it last night while I was at my game.
Wow. Spectacular.
Mark occasionally forgets the A, but he's gotten much better with that.
What are we doing here? It's the first letter of the alphabet. How do we? What's going on?
And Mark's even learned it in his Eagles ABC book.
Okay, so he's learning in his ABC book.
Correct.
Right? Really?
Yes, my aunt gave me an Eagles ABC book.
Wow, even though only 5 different letters in the name? I mean, there's a big wide world out there. There's still 21 other letters.
Yeah, they're in there too, in the correct order.
Really?
Yeah.
What's X for?
X is for the X is like to mark the defense, or an X-ray is what the book says.
Well, the Eagles lead the league in that department. Yeah, we're number 1 in X-rays. Great. Peter King will have to reschedule till next week. Unfortunately, his wife Ann's really good friend passed away. So Peter's doing exactly what he needs to do. So, okay. So next week. Tomorrow, Bill Hillgrove, Merrill Reese, and the King tomorrow. How about that?
Loaded Football Friday.
I mean, you're only going to listen to the Merrill segment, and the entire Merrill segment will be about somehow making you feel better about the mess you're about to encounter. And you know it's going to be a mess.
Well, it is going to be a somewhat of a challenging season for me in terms of watching each game, because there's the most of the time this year the Eagles are playing at 4, which of course you got to squeeze dinner into the mix, which isn't a quick fix because you have 2 soon to be 3 young kids that you have to feed, as well as yourself. And then they have a lot of they have 5-6 primetime games, so that's like smack dab in the middle of putting them to bed. So this is going to be a challenge this year for me. But we'll make it work.
You have to be kidding me. All right, so
get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
Okay. When you go home, I want you to look up this word, right? And I want you to then go through the various definitions. Adaptability. Okay, so let's... Hey, you need to adapt.
I have. I may not like it, but I have.
Hey, what are you doing? Oh, the game's at 4:30. What about dinner? Eat at 4. Eat at halftime.
Yeah, we always I always make sure dinner's on the table at halftime when the Eagles play at 4.
Hey, gee whiz. Right.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Putting the kids to bed. What time do they go to bed? Midnight? Come on.
Usually sometime in the 9 o'clock hours when they go to bed.
9 o'clock? They're little kids. Tell them it's 8 o'clock. Good night.
When they start going to school, then actually it'll be easier because then they'll have to go to bed earlier. But for now, it's in the 9 o'clock hour.
Start preparing them for school now.
Yeah.
That way they're into the
I try, but, they just don't want to go to sleep.
It's obvious who's running the place, and it's not you or your wife. Jeez.
But the game plan always is now I have everything on my phone now, so I keep the game on my phone as I'm going about doing my business in terms of getting them to bed and whatnot.
Wow.
Well, that's the adaptability. That's how I roll.
That's scary, man. It really is. But then again, there's nobody here, so we're good. I could. All right. Well, we had people over the weekend. Last 2 weekends we've had people here. Not this weekend. We're good. Good. Don't have to worry about the early bedtime I worry about's mine. So your kids run the show. You guys are just like spectators?
Most of the time, we're the ones in charge. But sometimes with bed, they don't go to bed too easily. Sometimes, especially now that they're sharing a room.
Oh, for goodness sake, shut the door. Move on.
Sometimes we do that after a while, to be honest.
Come on. Oh, my goodness. They'd be jumping around. I'd be like, yeah, okay, don't worry about it. They'll fall asleep. I'm not kidding. That's the way I was. Like, yeah, I'll fall asleep. Don't worry. We're good. I know you're surprised by that.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, fall asleep. We're good. Say something to him. Go to sleep. What do you want me to do? All right. So tonight's the Chiefs and the Lions. It'll be the opener tonight. I think all of us were surprised that it ended up being the Chiefs and the Lions. One thing about Kansas City's schedule, they have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, and that's what happens when you win. But their schedule is particularly tough, backloaded. That's what strikes me, is that their schedule is tough, backloaded. And that, to me, is, I think the final 8 weeks are really tough for them. Really tough. And so they get out of the gate with this one tonight, which will be a good game. Kelsey probably is not going to play. But it's one thing about Detroit with Jared Goff. Goff is a good NFL quarterback. Let's not, just, he's terrible, he's bad. Hey, it's not terrible or bad. He's good. But the great quarterbacks have the ability to change a season for you, to have the ability to change a game for you. And that's where you have to ask the question about a guy like Goff. Is he good enough to change a game or a season for you? And I'd say a game once in a while, a season, no. And that to me is the big difference. Like, Hurts can change a game and a season. Daniel Jones, for example, he can change games, but he doesn't change seasons. I mean, he needs a lot of help to do it. But that's what makes, the special players special, that they can do that. And Goff's a good NFL player, but he's not a special player. He'll be able to do things within the realm of their offense and, and do well with certain things. I mean, there's no getting around it. He can. But long haul, no. That's just my opinion. I don't. You're barely going to watch the game tonight. You have complete disdain for Andy Reid, complete disdain for Patrick Mahomes, especially. How dare anybody think that they are better than Jalen Hurts.
Nah, untrue. I will be locked in for the first half or so.
First half?
Probably.
Well, why don't you stay up for the whole game? It's obviously because they're going to keep you up all night.
Much as I would love to, I got duty calls in the morning, of course, so.
Yeah, but the kids are going to keep you up all night. You might as well watch the game.
Well, if they do, well, then, yeah, I got something to watch.
Perfect. Who's in charge of putting that to bed? You?
Actually, yeah, it is me. Usually Lisa does nap time because she's home on most days, and then I usually read them to bed because Luke likes when I read them to sleep.
What do you read them?
A mixture of everything. Luke's got a bunch of John Deere kids books because he's really into tractors and combines and all that good stuff, lawnmowers, as you know. So there's that. There's a couple of religious books that we have. There's Thomas. There's the Eagles book. There's a good mix of everything.
Why don't you get a Dallas Cowboys book? Hey, next time I'm down there, maybe I'll get that for him. Then he can feel like he's part of America's team.
No good! No good! No good!
Should I take that as a no?
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
I was just trying to help out. You're saying I'm not helping?
In this case, no.
Wow. They're going to grow up, right? And this is what they're going to become. And this is something that should worry you, right? They're going to grow up taking Dollar Dog Night and throwing them at Santa Claus. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, that will be taught not to do.
Well, you can teach it.
They're gonna start the new generation of Eagle fans where they will not throw hot dogs on Dollar Dog Night.
Look, you're going to take them to a game and they're going to be influenced by all these other people. And you will say to yourself, where did I go wrong?
I'll be looking right at it myself.
No, what bothers me is you'll join in. What the heck? What the heck? All right. So that is tonight. It's opening night. The college game is Louisville and Murray State. Okay. See, that tells you what the NFL's done here. What the NFL has done is they have completely X'd out college football on Thursday nights. And that's a problem. I mean, it used to be have some great games on Thursday night. No, not anymore. They're just, now it's just filler because they know darn well. And tonight's game's on NBC. It is not on Amazon Prime tonight, just so you know. We'll make sure everybody understands that. It's on Amazon Prime tonight. I'm sorry, it's on NBC tonight. It's Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark. And tomorrow's Illinois, Kansas. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to watch Illinois yet. I did not watch any of the Toledo game last week, so I want to see how they play. And Kansas is a good opponent to find out a couple of things about. I feel like you'll get a pretty good read if you're watching the game. I think that'll be great. So, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know a lot about Kansas. I don't. But, yeah. Then in Saturday's Texas-Alabama. Are you even going to watch that game? Or are you just so mad at Nick Saban that you just don't want to watch?
I don't have a really big disdain for Nick Saban. I think I don't like some of his press conferences and the way he treats the media sometimes, but I respect him. I would watch it.
What about Sarkisian?
He's kind of nauseating, but whatever.
Yeah, but you don't like nauseating.
No. If I had to choose between the two of them, it'd be Nick Saban. But Saturday, my college football day will consist of watching Penn State on Peacock on my computer, Notre Dame on the TV, and then I get ready for Bucknell VMI at night.
Well, who's Notre Dame playing?
Notre Dame's at NC State on ABC on Saturday.
Oh, that's actually good. That's a good game. Actually.
Yeah.
You'll find out a lot about your team in that game.
Absolutely.
That's a good game.
Yeah, that's not a pushover game. That's not an easy game.
Well, that's a rarity for an ACC matchup. All right, so terrific.
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
We're playing Georgia Tech for the 4th straight year. Great, fabulous. All right, we'll come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WK. Okay, Tony Pettiti, the Big Ten commissioner, was interviewed by Nicole Auerbach about not going back to divisions. He says they're not going to go back. Of course, he talked about expansion and what the keys were to that, and it's, nothing's really changed in terms of why they did it. He says it happened at the presidential level, and he executed it. He was asked whether the Big Ten is still looking to expand further, and he said, quote, he says, we're extremely happy where we're at. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean another opportunity presents itself, but, again, I keep getting back to that isn't talked about enough. How do you manage this? And they're going to continue with Flex Protect, but right now they have 11 Flex Protected games. You know that Washington and Oregon will be at 12th. I think what they're trying to do now is they're trying to work it, the way I understand it, getting it to a total of 9 Flex Protect games to make the schedule work. So there's more flexibility in the schedule so you can play everybody over a 4-year period. And so that's what they're trying to do. They have 11 Flex Protect games now. Penn State does not have one of them. Washington, Oregon will be a protected game. So I know the goal of the Big Ten, from what I've been told, is to get it to 9. 9 Flex Protect games. That means you're going to have to lose 3 somewhere. And I think one of those you start with is Iowa. Iowa has 3 of the current 11 Flex Protect games. I think you've got to look at Iowa and say, look, you can have 1. And by doing that, you knock it down. Of course, they don't have a basketball schedule out yet either, so they just have opponents, but that part isn't set either for this year, and that doesn't include USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington.